All right, so hey y'all, welcome to our self-love story, the audio diary podcast. I'm your host, Brandy Hess, and today we are taking another step to falling deeper in self-love. So, this is the first episode of 2023, and I'm so excited. I feel like it's a very special episode. I have a very special guest, Arndreya Price, who is here today. Hi, Arndreya, how are you?
Hi, happy 2023.
Yes, thank you. Happy 2023. So just to give you an intro so everybody knows who you are. So Arndreya Price is one of the top progressive and insightful lifestyle brand luminaries of our time. And she is a woman on a mission to help people feel beautiful and value themselves. And she does this through her entrepreneurship as an apparel brand owner and also as an exotic wellness retreat host. So, thank you, Andrea, for joining me. This is like my first virtual interview. It's my first interview of 2023. And it's my first interview with like somebody who is not like a friend or a family member. So I feel like this is a exciting episode for me. It's like a lot of new things. So I'm very excited.
Congratulations on that. That's such an amazing thing. And I feel honored to be your first non family member slash friend guest.
Yes, thank you. I was so glad that you reached out to me because I wasn't expecting it. I'm like, who is this lady? Like, she is no way she wants to be on my podcast. So I'm just thankful that you support the show and listen, and that you reached out and we can have this conversation. So let's just hop
Absolutely.
right. Yeah, so I'm starting this new segment at the beginning of the show as like an icebreaker. So this new segment is just like, when was the last time that you showed yourself love?
So I show myself love every single morning. So I will have to say this morning I showed myself love. One of the things that I do is I go into meditation every
Hmm.
morning. And I do a different type of meditation than most people. Most people just try to get like into a zen or to a zone. And I am, but I have elevated emotions in which I, excuse me, it's like a little bit of an echo.
Okay. Yeah, we keep going.
Okay, I'll keep
Do you
talking.
still hear
But
it?
I talk about, it's okay, I'll be okay. So I do a meditation every morning where I elevate my emotions. I talk about, well, no, I don't talk, but I think about the life that I want to curate. And
Mhm.
so it's all about self love. It's all about me being happy, about me being joyous. And so that meditation for me is an act of self love.
Okay, that's awesome. And I love the fact that you do that like every single day. I think that's great. For me, I would say I've actually been doing a similar thing as far as like showing myself love. So I won't say it's like a New Year's resolution, but recently, as of this year, I have started to like just write down like daily what I want to do for the next day. And throughout the day, I just like check those things off. And for me, that's showing myself love because it's helping me be more productive and it's helping me feel more accomplished and more confident in myself and saying like, okay, I set this goal and I know that I can achieve it, even if it's something small like email somebody something important, or just to clean my room for take a couple minutes to do that. I have a tendency to put those things off, and so the fact that I'm forcing myself to actually do the things that I know that I want to do and that I need to do is helping me. I feel more like I said, productive and just accomplished and less like stressed and less like lazy, because I have a tendency to do that. So
And that's a
and
beautiful thing. So don't just say just.
yes, yeah, you're right. And that leads like perfectly into our topic for today, which is curating a life that you love, which you mentioned a little bit and I talked about as well. So I feel like curating a life you love, like we hear a lot. I don't know if you're like on social media a lot, but like the topic of like manifesting is like a big thing that's on social media. I hear that a lot, like manifest these things and speak into existence what you want. Do you think that manifesting and like creating a life that you love, are they essentially the same thing, just, with a different title? Or what's your opinion on that?
They're probably the same thing. I haven't like taken a big like dive into what each are, but they're basically the same thing
Hmm.
in my mind. But I definitely believe in manifesting. I believe in curating. It's believing, it's all of the same principles. Showing yourself love. All of these things cannot happen if you don't believe you're worthy.
Hmm.
So your
Yes, I
worthiness is
agree.
connected to whether you're going to get these things or not.
Yeah. I think I definitely agree with that. I think as far as manifesting, just from what I hear people say, I think there's an assumption that there's more of like a spiritual aspect to manifesting, that maybe is different from like curating a life that you love. They're probably the same thing. I think they are the same thing, but with manifestation, I think there's always like a spiritual or some type of like religious idea like in the background somewhere.
Well, yes, but in order to curate, I maybe not spiritual in the God sense, but you still have to
Hmm.
be a spiritual in tune with yourself type of thing. I'm a Christian, so for me, everything I curate, manifest, bless, all of those things are necessary for me in order to get um, anything.
Right. So for you, how have you been able to curate a life, the life that you love for yourself?
So I've been able to curate the life that I love for myself by one, releasing my 9 to 5. And
Mm.
my 9 to 5 was not serving me. And I needed to actually work in my purposes, which is to make women feel beautiful and confident. I struggled with that for many years, from childhood until maybe mid 20s. And so it was important that I help other women who I know are struggling with this. Even I'm now 36 years old, but I know women who are older than 36. So I want to help women from actually just all women. I can't even put an age on it.
Hmm.
Feel very beautiful and confident. It's very important to me because you need that in order to do anything. Like you have to feel confident in order to get things
Yes.
done.
Exactly. Even like I said, just let me not say just because it is a big thing, like you said, but having the confidence to write down daily, I want to do this, this, and this tomorrow. These 5 things. I want to do this. And to actually get it done, you have to have a level of confidence to do that. And, you can set these daily goals, you can set monthly goals, goals for your whole life, whatever the level of the goals that you want to set. You have to have confidence at the base level to do any of those things. So I definitely can relate to that. So I know that when we had our conversations or when we connected outside of the podcast, and you mentioned like struggling with body image as a child. How did you like move from that space of having like these insecurities and body image issues to being in a better place as an adult? Or, are you at that point?
I'm definitely at that point, but I just had to honor and love the body that I was in and stop comparing
Hmm.
myself to others. One of the things that I realized is that I actually wasn't even overweight. I mean, I was a little bit overweight, but I wasn't as big as I even perceived myself to be
Hmm.
compared to other people. So it was like I had this image in my head. I like laugh when I go back and look at pictures. I'm like, girl, you want to diet at 10 years old, but why? But it was because I was comparing myself to other people. Well, everybody's father is not 6'4" and 200 some odd plus pounds. So I was going to be a
Right.
bigger person, more than likely I was
Hmm.
going to be bigger. But coming to actually just love myself. As an adult, sometimes I used to pass by the mirror and I wouldn't look at myself without any clothes on. But now I don't care where I am on the scale. I look at myself every day with nothing on because I want to know, like, I love my body. And I tell myself I love my body. And I actually do. Like, I don't care if my stomach is hanging over or whatever the case may be. I absolutely love myself. So I think the first thing is starting with actually acknowledging and accepting the body that you're in because I realized all the fad diets, none of them worked. All of that stuff didn't work until I started accepting my body where I was. And then I started making better, healthy decisions. And so I lost weight, but it wasn't because of some Jenny Craig diet or anything like that, because I will
Hmm.
always gain the weight back. With me just being mindful and not even being mindful, with me loving myself, I made better decisions.
Hmm. Yeah, I think you touched on a good topic when you said that, like, at 10 years old, you were on a diet. And then when you look back at your pictures from when you was 10 and you're like, I wasn't even as big as I thought that I was at that time. And I think that that goes back to what we talked about as, like, as far as what you believe, because I think that in your situation or any situation, you might not even be what you think that you are, but because you believe it over time, you slowly become that. So if it's something negative, you might not really be in that situation. But the more that you believe, like, I'm overweight, or, I'm not smart, or whatever the case is, for your situation, over time you become that because you believe it and you begin to act as so. So that is it just goes back to, like, what you said, like, what you believe is so important, because it ultimately, it just, like, your mind, it just really moves you. And I recently learned this, like, I didn't know it before, but I have heard people say, like, your mind can just take you to so many places. Like, anything that you believe, it can become true. And I slowly began to learn that and understand that and try to apply that to my life. Like, I was just driving in a car one day and I was thinking, like, I don't have to be unhappy. Like, right now, sometimes there's times when sometimes I'm like, I just don't feel happy. And then I had just like a epiphany, like, well, you don't have to be unhappy. Like, if you want to be happy, and this is me talking to myself, like, Brandy, if you want to be happy, you can be happy. And I'm starting to believe that. And because I believe that, my body is starting to do things, and I'm just starting to do things that are in line with that, because I truly believe that I can be happy. I don't have to be sad. I don't have to be insecure. I don't have to be any of the things that I don't want to be. I don't have to be. And so I'm learning to, I'm working to believe that and to, follow that and make that my reality. So I think
There's a
that
meme
stood
on
out to me.
Okay. There's a meme on Instagram. It said, if you can get out of your head, you can get anywhere. And I'm like, that is very true.
Yeah, for sure. And so, yeah, it's just a big thing to just have a positive mind, or, you know, I mean, it's kind of tricky because you're not positive every day. And when you are negative, or when you have negative moments, I do believe that you can learn from those as well. So it's not like you have to be negative, I mean, positive every moment of the day of your life. I don't think that's realistic. Um, but
So
when you
it's
have a
not
positive
about
mind.
being, oh, I apologize. Continue.
Oh no, I was done. I was done.
So it's okay to be sad. It's okay to have a negative reaction. It's about how long you sit into that negativity. If you're just sitting in it and that becomes, your everyday MO, that's where the problem comes. And that's why I meditate, because I meditate with positivity. I meditate with um, the emotions that I want to see and feel in my life. And so that's why it's important to meditate and to spend time with yourself, because you're
Mhm.
honestly going to constantly like redo the negative things if you're not, reinforcing it with positive things.
Right. Exactly. Another thing that really stood out to me while you were talking is you mentioning that you curated the life that you wanted for yourself when you left your 9 to 5. And so what was that process like of like, moving from having a 9 to 5 job to then, having your own businesses and being an entrepreneur?
It was a process, but one of the things that I realized, and I don't think a lot of people realize this as an entrepreneur, people think, oh, you can do whatever you want. Like somebody was like, oh, you
Mhm.
can wake up whenever. Ma'am, if I don't wake up, I don't get paid.
Right.
So, it's just about discipline and being disciplined. And so for me, I'm able to curate the life that I love through discipline and self love and knowing what I want. I think that's important. I knew that I didn't want to be an employee for the rest of my life, but I will admit I didn't think it was going to be then when I left my job, but nonetheless, it worked itself out.
hmm That's good to hear. I'm new to the workforce. Like, I just graduated college like right before the pandemic, and so I just started working like in the corporate world recently. But before I ever had a job, I was like, I don't want to do this. So I think eventually down the road, I think down the road I will, get to that point where I'm like, okay, I can make money myself. I'm hoping to get there. So I like to
So
hear
don't
people
hope,
just talk
set a
about that.
goal. Don't hope. Don't hope, set
hmm
a goal. Hope will get us nowhere.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, that's my goal. Then let me rephrase that. That's my goal to get out of working and work for myself. And for
Absolutely.
me, yeah, and I just want to add that, like, as far as curating a life that you love, as a somebody in their 20s, I feel like I'm 25. I feel like that's still relatively young. But I had to learn to like curate my life because coming out of college, like up until, I graduated, I felt like my life was planned for me. Like everything was, I was either listening to my parents about what I was going to do. I was going to school every day. You got homework, you have activities, it's a set time. Like everybody is telling me what to do, when to do it, how to do it. And so when I graduated, I'm like, okay, like I'm not in school. Um, and now I have to decide what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it. And I have to, be in charge of my life. So that was like a transition for me after graduating and, feeling like an adult and being like, okay, I'm not a kid. I don't have to, I can now make my decisions fully for myself. And I have to be confident. I can't look to my mama every time I do something and want her approval because me and her, we're not the same people. We don't think the same. We don't have the same interests. Even though I know that if I go to my mama and I ask her something, like she'll be able to give me good advice. But as an adult, I want to be able to make those decisions myself. I want to be confident in my decisions and not be like anxious and nervous because I never made a decision by myself. So if I never make one, I'm always going to have this anxious feeling whenever it's time to make a decision. I didn't want that. I wanted to, be sure about things that I'm doing and be able to make those decisions myself. So that was a transition for me. I feel like once I should be, well, not should be, I will be like getting my own place in this year. So once I get to that point, I'm like, okay, I'm really going to be like, fully 100% like, I'm in charge of my life, even though I am. But just the fact that I still live with my parents at this point, it's just like that last piece that, and to get
Hmm.
me to the next spot. So yeah.
Well, good
Did
luck
you
on
have
that.
that feeling? Thank you. Did you have
You're
that feeling
welcome.
or like transition of like being a young adult to like, um, transitioning from being like a student or, into being a young adult and making your decisions and being on your own?
I was definitely a rule follower, and that's one thing I love.
hmm
I won't say I love, but it was just who I was. I did everything my parents told me to. My sister used to call me a goody two shoes and all of this stuff. And it's funny because we joke and laugh because both of us have our own homes, but during like snowstorms and stuff, my parents would be like, y'all have to come over here. And it's like, we would be like, well, we don't want to come. But my parents would make us come and we would go. And my sister's 12 years older than I am. So it's like, I'm like, they're like, well, what if the power goes out? They have a generator. So they're like, you want to be over here. And I'm like, I don't. But I would give in. So it's just, in my 30s, I was still giving in, like, okay. But now I do want to be over there because I don't want to be in the cold. But it's just kind of like, I don't know when I can say I definitely felt like an adult when I left, but I've been such a rule follower by doing everything my parents told me. Me leaving my job was the biggest, like, oh my gosh, that they were not with it. And so that's
Mhm.
probably, and I know y'all gonna be like, she's 35 and she's just becoming like feeling like an adult. Well, yeah, even though I have a house and a car and all these things, those things didn't really make me feel like an adult. Like, because I was still following their rules in the sense of doing what was right as far as, going to college, going to get your master's, just everything, right? But this was
Mhm.
outside of the rules. And so that's when I felt liberated.
That's like a good feeling to feel like liberated and to like just be free. Like that's a great feeling to have. I guess it could be scary at the same time, but it's like
Oh, it was scary.
that's
It
a
was
good feeling.
scary.
Yeah. Hmm. So before you like started a business, did you want to do that for like a long time before you started a business, or was it kind of like it happened like it was like a quick decision that you made?
I don't believe it was quick. What happened was I launched my business in October 2021, and
Okay.
it was very successful within the first month, right? And at the same time, I had actually just gotten a managerial role at my job, but they were stressing me out. I was having panic attacks and anxiety attacks, and it was really bad. I was gaining weight. Even through the I love you, it was just bad. That was stress though, right? Because I wasn't in my mindful set, but I didn't have time to meditate. I didn't have time for any of this stuff. So, long story short, it was just like, am I going to keep letting these people stress me out so I get obese, have panic attacks, or am I going to trust this business that it's only a month in, but am I going to trust this business to sustain me? And I took the walk of faith.
That's awesome. I know what it's like to have a stressful job. I had a stressful job and I was like, I don't care if I'm homeless, I'm leaving this job and whatever happens, happens because I just couldn't do it. So I definitely have experienced that before.
I know. I told my parents, I was like, they were like, well, what if you leave and it's not successful? I was like, I'll drive Uber. I will work. Like, it doesn't matter. I will figure it out. But
Hmm.
it was time to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you still need
Well,
a plan.
it's,
And I won't lie,
mhm.
I have money. So, like, I don't want to tell anybody, like, just leave. Like, you have to have some kind of plan or some type of ordeal. Like, don't just leave. Have a plan.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, have a plan for sure, definitely. Yeah, like I said, I live with my parents, so it's kind of easier for me to say like, I was just leave. I don't have kids, so it's easy for me to say that at this point in time. But yeah, I think it's definitely a good idea to have a plan for sure. So let's talk more about your businesses. So I know you have the apparel brand, and then you also are a host of the exotic wellness retreats. So can you just talk about okay. Can you just tell us about your businesses and how they came to
Hmm.
you?
Yes. So I am a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, I am. Didn't y'all have a Founders Day recently?
Yes, we did.
Have
And so it only made sense for me to start home. And so that's why I launched clothing. And specifically, what happened was when I crossed Delta Sigma Theta, they gave us a big baggy t shirt. And I was just like, that's not me.
this ain't it.
I want to, this is not for me. I'm like a feminine type of woman. I was still excited though, so I don't want to take it as like, oh, I wasn't excited. I was still excited, but I was like, oh, a baby tee would be more fitting for me. So what I decided to do is I didn't see a market where they had clothing or apparel, Delta apparel that I wouldn't necessarily wear. So I decided to create it. And so that's where that started. And I've always loved serving women in the sense of Bible study leader, in the sense of serving women at my job. So I've always been one to speak life into people. That's actually one of my spiritual gifts. And so it only made sense for me to start coaching women and helping them navigate life.
Mhm. Okay. And so I know that your mission is to help people feel beautiful and value themselves. So how does your brand kind of, pull into or work with that mission?
So typically, when people wear Delta paraphernalia or Greek paraphernalia, it's typically just like t-shirts and stuff like that. My things are elevated. So I have a rabbit fur. I have like a leather jacket. I have shirts that you've never seen, and I design them. And the material is super soft. The quality is it's top notch. I pick out all of the fabrics. So it's like you're gonna feel good when you put on my clothing. So that's how that gets into that business. And then with the
Mhm.
coaching, obviously, I'm teaching you about meditating. I'm teaching you about self love. I'm teaching you about mindfulness.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, I know a few deltas. I didn't cross myself when I was in school, but I do have friends who are. I have a friend that's an AKA, and I know people who are in different, fraternities as well. So, is your brand exclusively for Delta, or do you plan on expanding to other sororities as well?
We'll actually be expanding to SG Row and to Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated this year. And we will be expanding to AKA sometime soon.
Okay, well, that's exciting for all the AKAs and the other sororities out there. They can definitely keep an eye out for that.
Hmm.
Okay, so we're going to get into the self love deck segment of the show. So normally I have my guests pull the cards, but we're virtual now. So I'll just shuffle them up and, do it on your behalf. But we can still talk about the question.
Okay.
All right, so let me see. Sometimes we skip the card, so this one might get skipped. So it says, pour your favorite drink, play a song to dance to, and block a person that doesn't deserve direct access to communicate with you. Do you want to have a block party? Are you trying to, is there anyone you need to block out of your life?
Actually, no.
No?
I really
Okay.
don't. When I tell you I'm
Yeah.
in such a mindful state, they have already blocked, like, no.
No, okay, that's good. I just had to block a couple people yesterday, so this is a little bit late. So we'll just move on to another card. Okay. So it says, what type of person does the dream you, hold on. What type of person does the person you dream about? So, what type of
Wait,
person
repeat the question.
does,
That's a lot of dreaming. Uh huh.
yeah, okay. What type of person does the person you dream about? So, the topic is dream mate.
I
So, I
got
guess like your, yeah, okay.
it. Okay.
That's,
They dream of the same things that I dream of. They're dreaming of a life that is absolutely beautiful, absolutely
mhm.
joyous, and we are on the beach. We are on, actually, I take that back. We're on a private beach, and we are in the over the ocean hut. And so those are the types of things that they dream of. And we have enough money to do everything we want to do and help our family members and friends and other people realize their dreams.
Okay, so do you are you that dream person that your dream person dreams about? I think that's what the
Absolutely.
question's trying. Yes. Okay. Okay,
Yes,
so
but
let
we're
me
dreaming
answer
about each
this.
other and we're dreaming about the same things.
Yes, yes. That's the goal. Like your dream person, like y'all have to be each other's dream person, you know? Or I feel like it wouldn't be right, you know? So what part let me answer this. This is like a some of these questions are hard. I feel like this is a hard question. I think my dream person dreams about somebody who is definitely very like self like sure of themselves, very confident and very aware of who they are and very like good at displaying that, like comfortable with being who they are and knowing who they are and like I guess I would say like sharing that with people, but it's not necessarily sharing, it's just truly being themselves. So I think my dream person dreams about somebody like that. And somebody who has just a good energy, like energy that is like when you're around that person, they make you feel good. They make you feel like what's the word I'm looking for? They make you feel comfortable because they are so confident that they make you also feel comfortable with them and with who you are and with them at the same time. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think my dream person dreams of somebody like that. And I would say that I'm working to be that type of person. Um, that's a part of my self love journey as far as just being sure about who I am and not like hiding that. Like sometimes I feel like on my self love journey, I'm changing a lot. And for people who know me, sometimes I get nervous to be a different person around people who don't know like the changed version of me. And so that's why I say that I'm working on it because I have to learn to one, know what I want to be and become that, but then also not be hesitant to be that in front of people who don't know that part of me or haven't experienced that version of me. So in due
Mm-hmm.
time, I will be that person.
And practice will make perfect. But honestly, just how I told you, I don't have anybody to block out. Don't be afraid to be who you are now because if they're not supposed to be in your world, they will just have to be dismissed. Don't dim your light.
Hmm. Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true. Um, okay, I think we have time for one more card because we're doing good timing.
Okay.
So let's do one more. Okay. So describe a time in your past when you spoke negativity into existence and how that influenced failure. I can go first.
Hmm.
I have something in mind.
Okay.
It's something not like life changing, but I have it in my mind that like I'm not on time for nothing. Can never be on time. I like that's the thing that I have in my mind. Like if something starts at 4, I'm probably not leaving the house till 4, and I get there when I get there. So I have it in my mind that I'm just going to be late no matter what. And so recently I had something planned, and I was like in my mind I'm like I can't be on time and I wasn't on time. And the person who I was supposed to go out with, they got really upset and just really mad, and it just ended up just like ruining the outing that we are supposed to have. So for me, just that small thing of like telling, truly believing that I cannot be on time for anything, caused me to not be on time for something that I was, had planned, and in the end, it was a failure because the event it was just a disaster. So that's what happened, and I'm working on being on time more. Since then, definitely, I've been working on being on time.
I'm trying to think of something. I have really been focused on being positive, but I'm pretty sure I could probably think of something of the past. Um, but I can just say, whenever I think negative when I'm not thinking positive. It could be so simple as a parking spot. If I think I'm not going to get the parking spot, then I don't get it.
Mhm.
So I like for me, it's really just a change of mindset and having the positive vibes and the positive energy flow. And some people get annoyed by it by me. They're like, everything isn't positive. Well, for me, I have to really soak into that because that's who I am. And so, if it makes you uncomfortable, it's unfortunate, but I have to be who I truly am.
Mhm. Yeah, but yeah, like you said, even something so small as a parking spot, like even in those small moments, your mindset, plays a part into how things turn out. So it doesn't matter the scale of it. It all boils down to the same things for sure.
Absolutely.
All right. Yeah. So we're gonna be wrapping up. Thank you, Andrea, for joining me. Happy belated, I guess, Founders Day. Do you have like any
Thank you.
links or yeah? Do you have like any social media that you would like to share or any ways that people can connect with you and continue to follow you in your businesses?
Sure. My business page for my clothing line is at LNO underscore Greek. That stands for like no other Greek. And my personal page is at Arndreya, Arndreya.
Okay, that
And
sounds
that's
good. So
it.
yeah, I'll be sure to like include your social media, all your handles in the description notes and on social media for all the promo for this episode, so that people can get in contact with you.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Brandy, for having me. I really appreciate it. And I just pray that your audience understands that mindfulness is the key to unlocking the life that you want to curate.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Andrea. Bye.
Bye.
Okay.